Organizational meeting for January 2nd, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. I'll call the roll. Mr. Bachman.
I'm here.
Mr. Kurtz.
Here.
Mr. Scott.
Here.
We have a quorum. Is there a nomination for 2025 board chair?
I nominate Mr. Kurtz.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a nomination and a second for Mr. Kurtz for 2025 board chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Bob Kurtz is the 2025 board chair. Is there a nomination for 2025 vice chair?
I'll nominate Roger Scott.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
We have a nomination and a second for Mr. Scott, the 2025 vice chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Abstain.
Roger Scott is the 2025 vice chair. And I turn the meeting over to our chair, Bob Kurtz.
I make a motion to go into executive session in accordance with ORC section 121.22G1. This is to consider the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of a public employee or official. Do a roll call. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Going to executive session at 5:32. Okay, we are adjourned from executive session. We're going to return to our organizational meeting at 6:26. Do a roll call. Mr. Baumann?
I am here.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
And I'm here. Next, we got our new business. It's quite a long list, so I'm going to try to get through these as quick as possible. The first thing we're going to do is appoint our delegates and alternate delegates for the different Erie County boards and commissions. I'm going to make a motion to appoint Roger Scott as the delegate to the 2025 Erie Regional Planning Commission. Bob Kurtz is the alternate delegate to the 2025 Erie Regional Planning Commission. Motion to appoint Roger Scott as the delegate to the Council of Governments. Ken Bachman as the alternate delegate to the Council of Governments. And a motion to appoint Robert Kurtz as the delegate to the Erie County GIS Advisory Board. And Ken Bachman as the alternate delegate to the Erie County GIS Advisory Board. Can I get a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Yes, motion's carried. Next is a motion to reappoint Keith Sexton as the Township Administrator, Zoning Official for 2025, and establishing a salary of $3,600 per month plus insurance benefits. Salary is based on a 30-hour work week with vacation days and holidays as outlined in the Vermilion Township Employee Handbook. This would be effective January 12th, 2025. Can I get a
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any conversation? Hearing none. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
I'm a yes, motion carries. Motion to reappoint Frank Tryon as the part-time fire chief for 2025 and establishing a salary of $20.24 per month with a $50 per month cell phone reimbursement. Salary is based on a 20-hour work week to be effective January 12th, 2025.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
I'm a yes, motion carries. Motion to reappoint Steve Young as the road department foreman for 2025 and establishing a wage at a rate of $30 per hour with insurance benefits, vacation days, and holidays as outlined in the Vermilion Township Employee Handbook. This is to be effective January 12, 2025.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
I'm a yes, motion carries. Motion to reappoint Ryan Cole to the road department for 2025 and establishing a wage at a rate of $25 per hour with insurance benefits, Vacation days and holidays as outlined in the Vermilion Township Employee Handbook. This is to be effective January 12, 2025. And this may be revisited after the probationary period.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz, yes. Motion carries. Motion to reappoint Lorraine Bailey as the part-time zoning secretary for the Vermilion Township Zoning Commission and Board of Zoning Appeals for 2025 and establishing a wage at a rate of $19 per hour. Position is based on an as-needed basis to be effective January 12, 2025.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Abstain.
And Mr. Kurtz, yes. Motion carries. Motion to establish the 2025 zoning fees at the same rate as the 2024 zoning rates.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I do think we need to revisit these and clean them up for the future because there are some holes that we filled.
Yep, that's something we will look at for 2025.
Correct.
All right. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz, yes. Motion carries. Motion to establish the 2025 paper photocopy rates at 25 cents per copy.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Yes, motion carries. Motion to authorize the fiscal officer to execute wire transfers to and from investment accounts as needed to conduct Vermilion Township business in 2025.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Yes, motion carries. Motion to authorize the fiscal officer to create blanket certificates up to a maximum of $5,000 each for 2025.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Yes, motion carries. Motion to continue to use Huntington Bank as the township depository for funds in 2025.
I'll second that.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz, yes. Motion carries. Motion to adopt the Vermilion Township Board of Trustee meeting rules for 2025 to remain the same as the meeting rules for 2024.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Abstain.
And Mr. Kurtz is a yes. Motion carries. Motion to approve the township inventory for 2025.
Second that.
Which one you got, Stephanie?
I'll give it to Roger.
That's right. Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yes.
Yes, motion carries. And last but not least, a motion to change the Friday, July 4th, 2025 employee payroll date to Thursday, July 3rd, 2025 due to the holiday.
I'll second that. And Mr. Scott.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Bachman?
Yep. Yes.
I'm a yes, motion carries. That concludes our new business portion of the organizational meeting.
We need to restate the monthly meetings is the first Wednesday at 6:30. That's our calendar.
Yeah, at this point in time, the monthly meetings the general business meetings will remain the first Wednesday of the month at 6:30 p.m. right here in the chair. With that, I will make a motion to adjourn from the organizational meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, and we are adjourned at 6:34. Do we need a break?
I'm ready.
You guys good? You're doing all the work.
What chairs do.
All right. Call to order the Vermilion Township Board of Trustees General Business Meeting of Thursday, January 2nd, 2025 at 6:35. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Roll call, Mr. Scott. Here. Mr. Beckman. Still here. And I am still here. First thing we need is, somebody want to make a motion to approve the December meeting minutes?
So moved to approve the meeting minutes.
I will second that. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. I need a motion to accept the treasury report.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. And I will make a motion to approve the warrants. I'll second that. Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. No correspondence? And no speakers. Fire chief's report.
Good evening, everybody. EMS and fire runs December 1 through December 31st, 2024. EMS, we had 50 runs. Fire mutual aid with Vermilion Township, we had 2. Fire mutual aid with the city of Vermilion, we had 1. Motor vehicle crashes, 3. We went out on 1 fuel spill. End of the year, total runs, 742 runs. The fire and EMS runs for December 2024 are complete, have been submitted to the state. The life pack monitors have arrived. We're working with Stryker to get the modems in place. There will be 2 separate trainings with Stryker, and then we will complete in-house training and place them in service. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the fire chief?
Not this time.
Okay, moving on. Administrator zoning department report.
Good evening. In the past month, the zoning office has issued 2 permits. Permit fees of $335.40 were collected. An update on the property located 13601 Thompson Road is scheduled for tree clearing and rubbish removal for the first quarter of 2025 per the new property owner. On December 5th, Trustee Scott and I attended the Erie County Engineer's Office yearly meeting. Among topics discussed were completed projects by the township in 2024 and projects that the township is proposing to complete in 2025. In collaboration with the Vermilion Township Trustees, Road Superintendent, Fiscal Officer in Erie County, we were able to provide $512,000 of road and stormwater improvements in Vermilion Township last year. The road superintendent and fiscal officer are currently reviewing the 2025 roads and bridge operating budget to finalize proposed infrastructure plan for 2025. Township office initial building corrective maintenance recommendations are as follows. The concrete in the back parking lot is in need of repairs. Directional signs are in need of replacing. With your approval, we will solicit bids to make these necessary repairs. Yearly maintenance on the generators at the road garage have been completed, and the yearly service for the township office generator is scheduled for January 7th, 2025. I apologize to the public. Our website was down briefly. We got to the root of the cause. The findings were that we had thought that the IT company that we work with actually held the domain. We as a township hold the domain. So it's up to us to renew that. And in order for us to renew the domain and keep the domain, that would prohibit if we used a third party and they held the domain and there was a separation between the township and that third party, At that point, they would control the vermiliontownship.com domain. Currently, our fiscal officer updated that domain for 10 years. So, we do own that domain, vermiliontownship.com. The glitch was that, again, as we gained traction, it wasn't a clean handoff that we received. It was a glitch, and obviously, we were able to repair that glitch in an expedient manner. And we're up, back and running, obviously, for the next 10 years. With the vermiliontownship.com name, we can change again and update that website accordingly under the vermiliontownship.com. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Sexton. So mark your calendars for December 30th of 2034, right? Okay.
My calendar didn't go out that way.
Anybody have any questions for the county administrator? The township administrator. You don't want that.
No.
I do have a couple, but if you could just meet and speak tomorrow or the next day, we can go over a couple.
Yeah, absolutely.
Keith, are you looking for anything from us tonight as far as,
Yeah, I just, to go out and solicit bids, obviously, the one of them we did discuss last year, with the concrete repair in the back. That somewhat got tabled. I think that we're in a good position. I've spoken with the fiscal officer with regards to budgetary numbers. It's something that, obviously that we can facilitate this year. The directional signs going in and out. I understand that they could be a little more visible. A lot of people like to enter the exit area there, and I could see that being an issue when the fire chief and his team are trying to get out. I think, again, directional signs, maybe a fluorescent, again, I'll seek some advice. But I'm just asking to the fact that we can go out and solicit, and I can provide you with 3 different bids, or different bids to make the adequate repair for the concrete as well as directional signs for corrective measures.
If I may, is there anything that stops us from putting a do not enter sign on it, using a no dot sign? Nothing? Why don't we just do that then?
Yeah.
Just put an official street sign on our fence.
Yeah.
Do not enter.
Yeah, if we can do it in, if it's something that we can do in-house, then that's great. I wasn't aware of that, but Steve, if that's something you could.
Yeah, I could see if the county could make them for us, or I can just get purchase them.
Okay. Yeah, just an idea, again, we've had the conversation with regards to the enter and exit, and especially this being an emergency station, that truly needs to be followed. And I think with the proper signage, not just half wood on and off, and then again, it would be to our advantage at a minimal cost, I'm sure.
Put a do not enter sign and an emergency vehicles only sign on it.
Right, yeah.
That would be no question. As to the concrete, I think we need sidewalks. I said it before, I'll say it again, and if we're gonna do the concrete in the back, why don't we just do the whole shoot and match once and get it done and get the bill accordingly?
I think you'll have to check with the county engineer on that though, because I think you would have to have them prepare some kind of, just talk to them about it and see if we would have to do anything for that.
Yeah, I think more or less.
Because we got the ditch out there and all, and.
We can check with them to find out, what needs to be done. I was just more looking at corrective measures of currently what we had and not enhancements. So, but we can obviously check, and you're right, part of the, one of the most expensive, cost in construction is getting the equipment to the property of the work site. So if we can, then
But the
great.
truth of the lion's share of the concrete's gonna be in the backyard, not out on the sidewalk. This is gonna be a low percentage add-on if we can add it on. And you talk about correction, sidewalks provide safety. Safety is an issue that needs to be considered. So I consider this a corrective imperative.
Fair enough, sure.
How soon are you looking to get it back?
Again, with your permission, I've spoken to the fiscal officer with regards to budgetary numbers. It's something that I'm sure that we had preliminary numbers from last year. Obviously, those change, year to year. I wouldn't anticipate a substantial change, but obviously, I can't make that call. I'd rather have the estimates and the scope of work in front of me before, I approach you with the approval to do the work. any time after the reason why you like to do this right away, you don't want this to be a fill-in or end-of-the-year job. You like to get it already in the bid process, right off the rip, so that you can help that construction company fill their work needs. And it's a lot easier to facilitate that way.
And this time of year, you're gonna get a little quote. I would assume people are trying to fill their schedule
For next year, that's the right, I just, you don't wanna wait.
Right.
You wait till May to go out and solicit bids, and all of a sudden you go, well, I'll try to get to it, or maybe it might be a good, end of year, and then all of a sudden they kick the can down the road, it's like, I'm not gonna be able to get to it. I'd rather at least go out and get the bids, and at that point, nail down some type of timetable on when we can get it, obviously weather permitting. And again, we're gonna have to work with the fire department too, to put down plates so they can, access and do that in some phases there.
One side than the other. If I could ask, Chief, we have a helipad. Is it just paint on the concrete, or could we do better? Would lights in the ground benefit us, or do we just not use them enough to justify something like that?
It is an FAA approved heliport as it sits, as it exists. I do not see the need for lighting at this time.
I just hate to pour down new concrete and say, gee, we could have put lights in for a low cost, and that would have helped, but if it's not necessary, then. Should you buy it?
Well, I'd make a motion to authorize the administrator to seek bids for having the concrete work fixed, and also talk to Erie County Engineer's Office about the possibility of sidewalks in front and what would be involved in trying to do that.
Just in front, or do you want to wrap the whole property?
Well, I would think of that to be our right of way. The right of way.
Yeah, I'm saying
Right.
along 60 and,
Yeah.
and
I mean, if it is something that we were end up doing, we should do it
the whole
along.
thing.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Second, that motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're good to go. Thank you, Mr. Sexton. Next is the road department report, Mr. Young.
Okay, we've got several streetlights out in the township that I know about. They've all been reported to Ohio Edison, but they're not the fastest people. Getting quotes on the 2025 road projects, and working on a list of drainage projects for 2025. And we're working on a list of storm drains on each road by location, size of pipe, and length that is currently in the ground, at long lengths. So it's all gonna be on paper now, not up here. So whoever takes over, as time comes, it'll all be on the computer, so we've been doing that. And we'll be working on the culvert report for the county here in the next month. And that's all I got.
Any questions for the road superintendent, road foreman? One thing, how much do you guys use the GIS software for your inventory?
We're not part of that. We're trying to figure out how
We're a part of it. And, yeah,
because we're gonna do catch basins too.
right, where you locate them, you
Yeah.
put the longitude and latitude and exactly what it is. Yeah, there's a program. I'll talk to the county about that.
Okay, let me know, because Brian, we was talking about that the other day, because I think Florence does it on
Yeah.
a computer somewhere.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
And there's a lot, there's more pipe in that ground we know about.
Yep.
But there's probably pipe out there I don't even know about.
I'm sure.
Pipe under the pipe, like a Stanley.
Well, there's pipe under pipe everywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Fiscal officer's report. Mrs. Johnson.
I have been busy working on all the year-end procedures, so I do not have a report today.
Works for me. We have no old business, and most of our new business was done in the last meeting. going to open to the audience. First is Mr. Novotny.
My name is Brian Botany, 1307 State Street. Question for the trustees. Why can the trustees lie and nothing happens to them? Roger Scott lied before the Board of Elections saying he had 4 people complain about my residence, saying I lived in the city, yet he has no proof of anyone ever complaining to him. Secondly, Bob Kurtz told the audience that if I just put up a row of arborvitae, everything would be good. Well, I've already done that, and not everything is good. Now, Bob says that I can just prove to the zoning inspector that I'm a farm market. Well, I showed Keith the sales numbers that I report to the state of Ohio to prove that I'm a farm market. Well, Keith doesn't believe that I'm a farm market. I don't know what kind of business he thinks I am, but I run a farm market. And I have run a farm market for the last 35 years. Bob, could you explain to me why Keith can write a violation within a week about my barrier? Yeah, when you were the zoning inspector, you couldn't and didn't write one in over 9 months. It tells me one of 2 things. My barrier was fine, or you didn't do your job for 9 months. Also, can the township trustees explain to me why the zoning inspector can give out warning letters to other businesses, but I get violation letters? And in the warning letter, he explains how to correct the problem. Keith never gave me a solution. What a double standard. Keith obviously wants to shut down my business. His actions speak louder than his words. Also, in his report, why did he fail to mention there's a hearing set up to possibly close down my business? Obviously, that's not important enough to this township. Bob, can you explain why you never required me to get another permit to put up my barrier when you were the zoning inspector? Also, neither did Bob Baker or Pete Fisher require me to get another permit for a barrier. Now Keith requires me to get permit for a barrier. Why is there no consistency? You just keep changing the rules. And also, there's no permit barrier in the code. And also, all these problems could have been solved if the original zoning inspector, when I built my place, would have treated me like a farm market, which I am, and not a drive-through business. And that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Novotny. Next we have Diana Ladrick.
Diana Ladrick, 3319 State Road. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Scott, Mr. Foxman. Okay, I'm gonna address us getting a building inspector. I know we have discussed this previously. I see big problems coming down the pike here. It's not Mr. Warner, but they're having a big building on Sunnyside. I feel he's gonna have his hands really full. If we just get a part-time building inspector, something. I think we need to separate ourselves from this. We are like sister cities. Yes, we do. Our address is Vermilion. When we live in the township, people go, where do you live? I say, I live in Vermilion, but now I say, no, I live in Vermilion Township. But we need to start separating ourselves. We at a township, we need to grow. We need to do things. We need a building inspector. Okay, so that's my issue. Now, I want to make a statement to address reporting on our township meetings in the Vermilion Photo Journal. We used to get the photo journal all the time, and I stopped, and then I go, man, we need to get it because we aren't finding out what's going on in the township. So a year and a half, 2 years ago, we started getting it, and I have saved every one of them that has anything to do with our township meetings, plus the city council meetings. I take exception in a reporter stating that Mr. Bachman is personal friends with Brian Novotny, and that he rents or leases, is a leasee. That's nobody's business. It would be like somebody coming to you, Mr. Chairman, and stating you're friends with Roger and you have a business together. That has nothing to do, what I feel personally, with what's going on here. I don't think it's affected Mr. Bachman's way of thinking, his voting, or anything. So I feel sorry for the people in the city, because there's craziness going on over there too. So report what is correct and keep your personal opinions to yourself. That's all I want to say about that one. Now, here's a little bit of info, since our neighbors down here, Redwood USA LLC, which we know are going to be coming knocking on our door very shortly, is in a heated debate and problems in Amherst Township, which is Route 58 by the Turnpike. They have a big construction thing going on there. There's going to be apartments and other contractors building single dwelling houses, and then there's a contractor building condos. So they're fighting with Redwood right now. Redwood's not doing what they're supposed to do, and this is Redwood that our guys from Independence. They are giving these people problems. They're not doing what they want. But this is what we're going to have to keep in mind, that if this happens, and it is going to happen, we need to stay on top of it and not let them get away with monkey business. We don't need anything like we had over there when they built by Dollar General with the sidewalk issue. But in case you people want to know what the rent is on these little cute little apartments, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, $1,999. 2 bedrooms, 2 bath, $2,486. What happened to affordable housing? So I just came across this when I was scanning through my Facebook, and the Chronicle came up, and it gave me they cut me off. They wanted me to buy their paper, and I couldn't finish the article. But there is an issue already for them. I think it's going to be an issue for us. I think we do need to develop. We need business. We need income. We need money. Our fire department needs new equipment. They need to update. We're going to be having all kinds of other things that need to be taken care of, and I would like to say, let us get the money together. You said at one time, I think, nobody would apply, and the money situation is an issue also. So let's try to do something, get businesses in here, something to generate a tax base so we can move forward. Do we have a plan for like the next 5 years of what we want to do in our township? Is anybody planning ahead for, the school's gonna be putting a levy on. They need money badly. So money's gonna be really tight here. We need to make a plan, and we need to see what we need to do as a township to move forward and prosper. So that's all I have to say. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Next is Dan Ladrick.
You know me, it takes time. Sorry about that.
Take it, deduct that from his time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I do all the time.
Clock started.
5 minutes ago. Okay, guys, here we go.
Name.
My name is Dan Ladrick. I live at 3319 Route 60 in the back outhouse. That's being married almost 57 years here, so here we go. Couple of things, I had different things here to knock some of them off. Okay, we still know about the flooding on Cherry Road, both sections of it. The one section, they wanna go into Sugar Creek, down to, they started, Mason, or, they go from Mason up to, Tufop. You know which one.
Down the way.
Huh?
Down the way.
Yeah, but anyway, they came up, they cannot get rid of the water going to Sugar Creek.
No, Darby Creek.
No, Sugar Creek on this one. This is where they're trying to go west off of Cherry when you come to Darrow, go to Sugar Creek, go west. But they're gonna flood houses going down Darrow Road. So that's just one thing I wanted to mention. The other thing I want to mention is nobody wants to admit putting a 36-inch tile into Rob Dunn's fields. Nobody. The county, the township, the state. Nobody admits who did that. And again, it's still going into his fields. He bought that as a farm. It is legally a farm. I think it's 86 acres, I'm not sure roughly. And of course, it's been taken to court. And a county judge came up with something. And the Toledo courts put a stay on that. So in other words, that has to be put on hold. Now we have a person who likes to box at 16, he talks about boxing in the 1600s. And I should tell him, I worked for this Ohio station when I was growing up from 14 to 18, and I worked for a guy named Ed Schumann. He was the total winner of the Pacific Flotilla during World War II. He was the top winner. He taught me how to box. So if we want to go back to 1600, maybe I could, with the new rules, maybe I could take care of that. There's a person who came up Monday, okay, we're not allowed to mention names, who trespassed on Rob Dunn's property. They have it on film, who it is, and his thing when he was contacted about trespassing, he threatened Rob and his wife that he would throw them in jail if they did not do what he tells them to do. I'm sick and tired of this man. At one time he told me he runs the township. Come right out and told me, I run the township. Well, I got news for him. You guys run the township, and us people run the township. We are your constituents, and we're going to stick up for the constituents as much as we can. And nobody tells me that he runs the township when he's useless as all get out. That's what I have to say there. Now, to be nice, I'm going to get a haircut. I'm going to mow this beard down. I'm done doing Santa Claus. And, oh, by the way, do you think I might not be real Santa Claus? Ho, 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 ho! Merry Christmas! All over with.
Thank you, Mr. Ladger.
You're welcome.
Next is Nancy Hall.
They left.
Okay. Joseph Jones.
I was going to speak on the behalf of Kitty, but covered some of it. I had one short question. Could I ask real quick?
Name and address.
Joseph Jones, 218 Essex Road. She had asked me to ask about the light on Risden and Route 6, but is that you already? I heard you address that in your report. Had that already? She said that light is out.
6 is out too?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's all I have. I'll yield any time to Mr. Rowe that I have left. Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Am I next?
You are next.
Can we leave?
9 minutes, 47 seconds. Mr. Chairman, my name is Don Rowe. I live at 14714 Kenizel Road. I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas, Merry, and a Happy New Year, and go Bucks. Mr. Chairman, I do believe that I heard in the announcements today from the executive session that our road department foreman, Steve Young's pay is set at $30 an hour plus benefits. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes.
I'm very outspoken, Mr. Chairman, as you know that. So I'd like to tell you and our other trustees, Mr. Scott, Mr. Bachman, that someone, I don't know if it can be revisited, it'll be up to you guys. Someone with the skill set that Steve Young has, and I'm sure you guys, trustees, are aware of that. Steve doesn't get his horn tooted enough. The guy he's got mad skills. He can run equipment. If you looked at his skill set versus what his wage is, I think you guys missed the mark. Don't mean to be offensive about that, but if you looked at anyone with his skill set, he is underpaid in my opinion. Please, if at all possible, revisit that. You can comment on that if you want to, Mr. Chairman.
No, I appreciate your comments.
Yeah. Thank you. He's a talent. We won't have him forever, right? But he's a talent, and we need to keep him there and well paid, in my opinion. Mr. Chairman, can I speak to, with your approval, our Township Administrator, Keith Sexton?
As long as you're nice.
I'll try to be. Mr. Sexton, there was some surveyors in the property across the street from me. I don't need to say all the geographical locations, correct? Are you aware of anything going on there? Because there's new markers in the substation lots. I saw some surveyors over there running around. Didn't ask them what they were doing. Didn't know if you had any updates on that, because I'm sure that someone's probably want to try to develop that. Is there anything going on there that we need to be aware of?
As of today, I have no information to forward to the trustees as well as the public.
Okay. Don't know if Keith would have the answer to this, but when that development first took place there, the access road, which is right across the street from me, was an access road. It was part of the plan. That road is now closed, is that right? Was that road signed off closed by the trustees?
Not that I'm
Any
aware.
trustee?
Yeah, we closed it off.
I know it's
As far
closed
as-
off, yeah, I remember that is
As
closed
far as
off.
vacating it, no.
Is it still an actual official road?
Yes.
Okay. You guys did a wonderful job last year on coming up with end of the road signs there, because what was happening is trucks, UPS, whoever else you want to say was plowing through there, it was a mess. But I actually witnessed some cars driving through there now. The end of the road sign, this is no kidding. There's an older couple that lives, if you're going north on the right side, and they've hilled up, that's where they've hilled up behind their house, they're right up at the substation. A car actually splashed through there a couple times and went up on their property and went around the end of the road signs. Is it possible to review that to see if another sign could be extended out there to where it would almost be impossible to do
Be
that?
safe.
I think we should take a look at that. We don't need people driving through road too safe.
No, it's terrible. That guy actually took his chair and moved it over there. So they have to, but I couldn't believe it. So I didn't know if that was still coming up as a road or whatever, but I thought that it was closed, so if it's still a road, then, well,
They shouldn't be driving.
they shouldn't be driving through. It's terrible, terrible. It was, and the end of the road signs were an absolute great fix. So if someone could look into that, it'd be appreciated. I'm sure the property owners would like that also. Is anyone aware, Mr. Chairman, that, I don't know, I'm sure Ohio Edison had to approve it. I meant to say this in the last meeting or the meeting before that. But there were a crew that were going around the roads drilling into the telephone poles. Were you guys aware of that? So they actually came on, my property and drilled at one of the telephone poles between me and my support line. And I asked them what they were doing. They actually were very nice. And they were subcontracted allegedly by them for Ohio Edison to test the quality of the poles. I've never seen that. So I watched them, and they were actually drilling 5 to 6 holes in some of the poles, and the auger bit they were using was huge. So if those poles are not bad,
They are now.
they are now. So, and anybody's willing to come onto my property and see where they muttered up around there, and you can look over the houses and stuff. It was incredible. They said that they were, I couldn't believe it. So, but hey, that's not our problem. It could be for power outages, but that's a responsibility of Ohio Edison. if someone wouldn't mind, Mr. Chairman, can they give us an update on cemetery funds that were, whether it's Keith or anyone, whether cemetery funds that were available through the state? Where do we stand with that? Because we were talking about one of our cemeteries doing some research on maybe getting some headstones and stuff like that. Is there any updates on those at all? Any movement?
I don't think we have any updates on any grants or anything like that at this point.
I know a great job was done by trustee Ken as far as getting names from the college, wherever that came from, and all that was up there, so.
Right now, I think we're looking for the survey. I'm not sure where.
That was the second part of my.
This time, will you yield for some answers, or?
Yeah, just one second. To extend that, so whoever needs to answer that, I know that there was motions for surveys. Can you give us an update? Thank you.
They are not complete yet. They are not complete yet. It is an ongoing project. I'm still working on it. Indigent burial funds are back, thanks to the state. So there might be some more funds available. So I don't have an answer yet, but it's not a dead horse. I'm still beating on it.
Okay, surveys.
And if I could ask you a question.
Yes.
When they drill these holes in the poles,
Yeah.
did they putty them back up, or did they just leave them?
Steve, did you see any of that action going
Yeah,
on?
I've seen it.
Would you like that?
At Ohio Edison. and
Would you
at
comment on it?
Michigan.
Wasn't that the craziest thing you ever seen?
Every pole in the.
Every stinking pole. It was unbelievable. Could you believe that, Steve?
Well, I asked the guy, what are you guys doing? Testing your poles.
Dynamite. I will call Ohio Edison and get you an answer, Mr. Rowe.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
Digging a rock and everything else, they're digging by hand.
They were digging by hand. They had a crew out there digging by hand, and when they were actually drilling those holes, I mean, it was huge augers. And I think by the time you drill another hole, that pole's coming over.
They did that out on 60 in front of us too.
You're doing 40 to 50 poles a day.
I would like to make one comment. One of the beauties of the First Amendment, Diana, is that everybody gets to enjoy it. We do not control what the photojournal does or does not print. They are their paper, and they are free to express any opinion. That's what free speech is all about. I don't have to agree with everything he writes. I wish sometimes my name was spelled correctly, because that happens every now and then. But
And I
the free
understand,
press
yeah,
is the free press.
I
So
understand
There's nothing
that,
we can
yeah.
do or chastise or anything. It's, they're allowed to do what they're allowed to do, because that's the government we all agree to have. So, don't want to make anybody a villain here.
Oh, I'm not
Yes.
making anybody a villain. I'm just stating that the way it was presented in the article, it wasn't the right place for that to be addressed. That's my opinion. And like I said, you know, it's freedom of speech, freedom of the press. We want freedoms in our country. I don't have a problem with that. I'm just saying it was out of context, and this was not the first time. If it was the first time, because I have all the papers, it's come up once before. So it's like, I'm just saying, don't want anybody talking about you, Mr. Chairman. I don't want anybody talking about you either, Roger. Whatever business you're doing or whatever, that's your business. It's not my business, it's not anybody else's business. That's all I'm saying.
The key to good government is engagement and involving yourselves in it, and not just relying on a newspaper or a website or what your neighbor said. You get your facts from your own ears and your own eyes.
Right.
So,
All right, announcements.
oops, sorry. I was going to motion to adjourn.
Yeah, not yet. Our next meeting will be on Wednesday, February 5th at 6:30. And
Motion to adjourn.
I will second that. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
I'll try and make it.
And that's at 7:13.